Hey guys, today we will be uh, creating a responsive website like this one that is dedicated to Mr. Panda here. And this is a responsive website created using CSS Grid and Flexbox. As you can see, we have the menu bar laid here uh, that has a nice hover effect. Then we have this hero image and a image gallery. Of course, this is not clickable, but you can definitely make it clickable and show a light box here with the help of plugins or jQuery. If you want to, we are not focusing on that. We are focusing on the website layout here with the help of CSS Grid and Flexbox. So this image gallery here is laid using CSS Grid. The top section here, the menu bar here, is using CSS Grid as well as Flexbox, and this is fully responsive. If I just enable the width and height marker here, this is a Chrome extension known as width and height display. That is really helpful. And if I just minimize my decrease the size of the window, so you'll see it changes to a 3-column from a 4-column layout, and this image is also shrinking. So if you hit a breakpoint of 990 pixels, so this menu bar disappears and you get this nice hamburger icon, and this logo becomes bigger, and this changes into a 2-column layout, and the footer also gets shrinked. So if you decrease further, so this becomes a single column layout which has images stacked on top of each other. With the footer, the font size gets decreased, and we have this nice menu bar here. Okay, so this is more like your bootstrap menu. Okay, and this is pretty simple to achieve with jQuery. Okay, and as you can see, there is this transition effect. So the images, they shrink and grow uh, with a transition effect. See, the spacing is maintained, and this logo will also shrink with a transition effect. We'll just see now. Did you see that smooth transition? Okay, so this is not a fancy website, but a single web page, but it will give you a good insight on how to use CSS Grid and Flexbox to lay out your own websites. And of course, you will find the source code in my GitHub repo in the description of this video. So without wasting any further time, let's start with our project here. And I'm using WebStorm to create this project, but you can use any IDE of your choice. Okay, so I did not do anything here as of now. I simply created an HTML5 linked font awesome. You can link font awesome from here. Go to this site and copy this link from the get started page, and I linked my own custom style sheet here, that is style.css. However, I am using Sass to write my um, styling CSS code. However, it will get compiled by my IDE into the CSS, which is then can be rendered by the browser. Okay, if you see my folder structure, I have the main folder, then CSS, which has this file, and under that this is a compiled version. Okay, and I have my HTML, I have the images here which I will be using, and the jQuery that you can download from the jQuery website. Okay, also I will be using a couple of Google fonts that you can easily download free of cost from the Google Fonts website. I'm using Lobster and Pacifico. So go to the website, select the fonts, go to the import section here and import this what you call the copy the import statement and paste it here in your style sheet. And this works in CSS too. So you can directly import, use the import URL in your style sheet, or as an alternative, you can go to standard and link it as a using the link statement as a style sheet here. Okay, so that's about it. And if we go to the code, I'm gonna collapse that. Okay, so let's start with the HTML markup first. The markup is very simple. There is no complex thing that needs to be uh, written here, because everything will be laid out using CSS grid and flexbox. So you will see the power in a bit. So I'm starting with the top navigation. I'll put a nav tag here, and I'll create a div with the class of logo, and inside div I will create an image tag with the image that is logo2 logo2.png, and put the alt tag of logo. Then I'll create my main navigation here, main nav. I am using an ID here instead of class because I want to target this directly, although you can target classes as well, but I like ID here. I would prefer ID here for the matter of specificity. So IDs have got a higher specificity than a class. Okay, inside the main nav div I'll have my unordered list, followed by 4 list items, and inside that I will have one anchor tag. So this is the syntax to create elements using Emmet. Emmet is a free plugin that is available for WebStorm as well as other IDEs, and I highly recommend using this to speed up your web design coding. Okay, so after adding this, if I hit tab, it will create all the markup for me. So the first one is tutorials. I don't remember. It should be about me. This was services or contacts. Let's go ahead and check. So it's services and contact. Okay, so services and contact. Okay, so go here. So this is my web page. This is dynamically reloaded with the live edit plugin that is available with WebStorm. A similar plugin available for VS Code is Live Server, and I guess you have other plugins for other IDEs, so please check their documentation. Sorry. So this is the current HTML or DOM structure, which is pretty ugly, so we can ignore it as of now. So we'll first finish with the HTML markup. After that, I'm gonna put a comment hero section. So I'll use the section tag here with the ID of hero and no classes, and inside this I'll have a div with a class of hero image, just to in case if I want to style my image here, and the image will be panda1. So hero. Okay, that's about it. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. Okay, then we have the gallery here. Again, a section tag with an ID of gallery. Inside that, we'll create a class of card, although I'll only have an image inside it, p1.jpg p1. Okay, let me expand this window a bit. Okay, so I need 5 images, or 5 of these divs. 2 3 3 4 5, and change the alt tags. So all tags are used if the images are not found or it can't load the image. It will replace that image with this alt tag. And this is really important in case if you're creating a live website for SEO purposes. Okay, so our gallery section is done. We are only left with the footer. So it's simple, very simple. The markup need not to be complex. Copy. You need not to create divs inside divs and divs. All those things are gone. Like we used to do with other frameworks like Bootstrap, you have to create a container, then a row, then different columns for different viewports. I don't need that here. Okay, so my markup is finished. If I go back here, you see everything is screwed up at this moment. Sorry. So now we will be focusing on the style sheet. So the very first thing I want to do is a reset. It's a global reset here, because every browser sets a default margin and padding, and also I'm gonna set the box sizing here to border box, so that my margin and padding doesn't add up to the actual width of the div element, or the element on which I'm setting the padding or the margins. Okay, so for the body, I don't need anything, do I? Yes, I think I need the default font families and all those things, font sizings. So let's do that. So my height will be 100 view height, my color will be white, and font size is 18 pixels. Also for the list items in my web page, I don't want any list styling, that will remove the numbering or the dots. And for the anchor tags, I don't want any text decoration, that will remove the underline. Okay, so see, the underlines are removed. Also white space, no wrap, and font weight is, let's say, 400 to appear bolder here. Okay, so that's about it. Also, let me just check for images. I want them to occupy the width of the container here. So for all images, I would put the width to be 100% of its container. Okay, so the container is pretty large right now, so it's occupying whole of it, as you can see. Okay, so we are done. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove all these reset or default settings into a new file here. You don't need to do this because this is only possible with Sass. With regular CSS you will not be able to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna create a file called common. Okay, I'm gonna cut and paste it here, close it, and like the previous import statement, I'm gonna import my common file here. I'll still have all the settings as before. Okay, great. And that's why I like Sass very much. We'll be doing a similar import for the media queries. I will not be creating any media queries here, so I'm gonna create a new file here. Let's do that right now. Media. Okay, let it be there. I would need that later on, and I'll import the media queries at the end. Okay. Let's start with large devices first. Of course, you can start with the mobile version and then expand your website to accommodate the larger devices like tablets or desktops. So first of all, we have the nav and a display grid. So display grid, with this keyword, you are telling the browser that you want to use the grid layout system. Of course, you can use flexbox. So if you put flex you'll notice that all the items are stacked in line, okay, in the navigation of course. So the menu and the image are sitting next to each other, but we don't want that. We want grid, and with grid you need to tell the browser how many columns you require. So with this property grid template columns, you can define number of columns and width of those columns. So I have two columns now, one with 200 pixels, the other one with 500 pixels, and you can see that here. Okay, but instead of defining columns like this, I for the larger devices I want the navigation bar to have a specific to have 5 columns but with different values. So the first value, the first column should be of 40 pixels wide. The second column will be 200 pixels wide. This will be used for the logo, to place the logo inside it. Now with this is grid, it comes with a new grid known as one fraction. So one fraction is the available space, okay, that is remaining after allocating 240 pixels. Okay. Then I want a section for my main menu, and I'm using a function called as min max that gives me the ability to put a minimum width and a maximum width for my column, and the last will be one fraction. So just for your information, the one fraction unit can only be used for maximum values. It can never be the minimum. So the minimum always has to be of a definite value, a fixed value here. So I'm going to use, let's say 600, not 500. And then I'm going to use a property called grid template areas, so that I can name my areas or my columns, and I can easily place my grid items in it. So like I said, the 40 pixel will be sort of margin to the to my logo here, so I don't want anything there. After that, the second column I want my logo, third will be blank, fourth will be my menu, and fifth will be blank. Okay, so before putting any more properties, I will target my logo here and will use the grid area and property and put logo, which is the same name as this one. Okay, and my main nav here, I'll put grid area as menu. Okay, as soon as I do this, you'll notice that my logo and my menu items are in their proper places. Okay, then I need few more properties here. I guess I need a box shadow. I don't want inset. I want horizontal blur to be, let's say, 0 pixels, vertical 22 pixels, blur is 15 pixels, no spread, 0 0 0 0.7. Okay. Okay, that's nice. Also I want to margin top, right, bottom 10 pixels, and left 0. So this is top, right, bottom, and left in the clockwise direction. Okay, now you can see the box shadow here. Okay, great. All right. So after margin, do we need a padding? No, we don't. I'm gonna put a position relative so that I can place my trigger here. I think I forgot to add a trigger for the hamburger menu. It will go nowhere, and I'm gonna put a ID of trigger. Inside that I'm gonna use a font awesome icon here. That's it. That is FF bars like this. What is the hamburger icon on top? Okay, and initially for larger devices, my trigger will have a display of none, so it's hidden. Okay, great. Now what do we need? We need a logo. Grid area is there. Need width of 100%. Okay, margin of 1 rem. Let's put margin top. Okay, and we'll put transition effect for all the properties that will switch in 0.4 seconds with the animation of ease. And the image inside that we want this to be 100%. That's already 100%. And cursor pointer. Move the cursor here, we'll see a pointer. Okay, cool. I don't think I need this. Do I? No. Okay, it's 100 pixels. Yep. 100%. For the main nav here, we have my unordered list. So unordered list will be having a width of 100% of its parent. That's the main nav. Then a display of flex. So I want to position my items side by side. I'll also put a border here so I can see the UL and how the placement is done. Okay, also the height should be 100%. Okay, now you see the items are starting from top left corner here. So as soon as you use display grid or display flex, it gives you two axes. So for display flex, the default row the flex direction is row, like this one. That's why you're seeing it side by side. So with that, with the flex direction set to row, your horizontal axis becomes your main axis and your vertical axis becomes cross axis, and it's the other way around with flex direction set to column. Okay, so now I want this to be aligned in the middle from top to bottom. So I'll use the cross axis, and for anything in the cross axis you should use the align keyword, align items center. So you'll see it'll go down. Okay, and to position them horizontally, I'll use justify. So anything in the main axis you'll have to use justify, and for justify I'll use space around here, evenly spaced things for me. So this is the power of Flexbox with grid. You can lay things very easily. Otherwise, to create this sort of inline menu, you would have to do a lot of padding, floating, whatnot. Okay, it's just with three lines here. Display flex, move it down here. I'll put it with align items and align just right to content. So for the links, I'll still give them padding, which will be used for hover. Otherwise, if you hover right now, it won't have that broad area. So 15 pixels padding, transition all, 5 seconds, please. I don't want that hover effect to immediately appear, but with the transition, border radius is 5 pixels. Okay, and these are the properties to support different browsers like Mozilla, Chrome, as the default. So with SAS, a there is a way to target the hover element, to target the hover pseudo property for this list item. So generally you will write like ul_li hover, okay, but with this I'll write simply ampersand hover when I'm inside this li block. So this ampersand refers to the parent element, which is this list item. So I'm pointing to list hover. What do I want? I want the background to change to a particular number like 7975 75. Okay. Also, I think I missed the background color. Okay, for nav, I'm gonna give it a background color also. Background linear gradient. What background linear gradient dark gray to beige. I think that's the same color I'm using in my final version. Yep, but here I want from to left bottom. Yep, it's the same effect here. Okay, this will give you a smooth gradient here. Start from top left to the bottom. Okay, so it's done. Now what else I want? So if you hover, we'll see this nice effect. Also, I want my anchor tags to change the color when I hover on them. I want them to be appear as page. Okay, like see. Okay, and otherwise, when you're not hovering, anchor tags color will be dark slate gray. Okay, perfect. And my font family will be Pacifico, cursive. Font size will be 1.4 rems. So rem mean font size, not font style. So rem unit, one rem is equal to the size of the font that you have set in the body. So for my body is having a font size of 18 pixels, as you can see here. Yep, so my 1.4 RAM will be 1.4 times of 18. Okay, which will be like this, and this has already taken shape, a pretty nice shape here. Okay, so next what we need, do we need a border radius? It's already there, I guess. Yeah, you see this rounded corners, perfect. And the beauty of this IDE is as soon as you point your cursor to a bracket, it gives you the closing or the opening bracket name here on the top. This bracket belongs to the unordered list. This is my main nav. Okay, and I should be good here. Okay, now let's target our hero. Okay, and my IDE helps me with the names as well. So whatever class or ID you use in your markup, that will automatically be cached and shown here with in the IntelliSense, I mean. Okay, so now we will use a width of 95 viewport width. So this is a new unit that is based on the viewport width, your current viewport width. So I'm telling the browser to use 95% of that. Okay, and also I'll use margin. That will be 10 pixels auto, 20 pixels, 10 pixels on top, 20 pixels bottom, and left right auto. Okay, I'm gonna put a comment here, top, left plus right, then bottom. Okay, me lower down the font size a bit to accommodate every command I type here or every property I'm using here. So it's done. As you can see, it has already become responsive. Okay, now we want to work on the gallery. So in the gallery, I also want a max width of 95 viewport width. Okay, margin 0 auto to center everything, and display grid. Alright, so next property I want to use grid gap. So grid gap is the gap between two grid items. So I'm choosing a value of 10 pixels here so that you can have nice gap here. If I remove this grid gap, there will be almost sticking to each other. One thing I forgot, which I want, of course, go to the image and display block, because every image has got a line height by default. As you can see here, it is sticking now. Otherwise, if I remove this display block, it will have a line height of, I believe, 1 pixel. Let's say line height 0, line height, I'm sorry. So display block removes uh, that 1 pixel area. All right, let's jump back here. Gallery display grid, and for this grid template columns, I want this to have 4 columns for the larger screens with a width of uh, 23 viewport width, or let's 25 will not work because we have grid gaps, so we have to use a lower value. You can write 23 viewport width 4 times like this. It'll work. Okay, like that. Okay, but I don't want it to I don't want to type it 4 times. There's a neat function called repeat 4 times and the size of your column. Okay, cool. Inside the gallery we have divs, right? I want my div to occupy 100% of the width, and transition will be all 0.4 seconds is okay. I forgot the grid gap, sorry. Grid gap should be 10 pixels. Okay, perfect. Now we have the footer here. We want the footer to have a width of 100% to occupy the entire thing. Color should be floral white, and background should be, I guess, such a dark color. Which color should I choose? Darker one. 4F, 4F, 4F. Okay, let's give it a height of around 200 pixels. Okay, now again, to position, I want this to be positioned in the middle of the footer. So you can do it with margin and paddings, but I will be using display flex here, and align items center and justify content center. See the beauty. This is the beauty of Flexbox and CSS Grid. You can lay out your entire site so easily without worrying too much. Okay, and I want this to have a bigger font size. Font size should be 2.4 rems or something. Yeah, font family to have lobster or cursive. Perfect. Okay, let's give it a margin top of 2 rems so that it's not sticking with this image. And what else do I need? A border? No, let's leave it as it is. Okay. Alright, so our desktop layout is completed, and let me just remove this border from here. That was only for demonstrational purposes. Okay. Alright, we have it here. Okay, now let's target our smaller screens. Okay, I'm gonna close this comma and go to media. The first device that I want to target should have a maximum width of around 575 pixels. That's my breakpoint. Here I want my gallery. So my gallery. Okay, I want this to have grid template column of 1 fraction. I want to use the entire space here, because that's very small. Cell phone or small device that doesn't have too much of space. And what else? Well, let's put a width of 575 pixels. Okay, and now I want to target my navigation bar and create template columns. I'm gonna put it here and decrease the size to 540. Okay, create template columns. I want it to have 1 fraction here, min max 200 pixels or 1 fraction and a 1 fraction unit. Create template areas. I want to redefine my areas. Now I have only 3 columns. Earlier I used to have 5 columns. So menu. Okay, fresh incompatible units, okay, min max, sorry. Okay, now you see, just with the help of grid areas, I redefined my grid areas and it's stacking on top of each other. Okay, looking so nice. This is a similar behavior that you have with display flex and flex direction set to column, but you can achieve it with grid as well. Okay, now inside this nav I want to have a margin bottom. Margin bottoms MGB, that's a shortcut for margin bottom of, let's say, 1 rem. I'm always using the rem units, not pixels. I try to avoid using pixels and rely more on the rems and ems. So this logo is still not centered. Okay, I want it to be centered, so I will use align items center, justify content center. Okay, and width of 200 pixels. Can decrease to 150 also if you want. Okay, this is looking nice. In fact, better than the original one. This is too big. Okay, I'm happy with that. What else? So now we want the trigger to show. This is the mobile version. Display block, position absolute. Okay, color dark select gray, font size 1.4 rem. From top it's 30 pixels and left 30 pixels. Okay, and since we are using position absolute here, I set my nav here to position relative. Okay, so that it does not go outside the nav. Okay, so it's done here. Now we want to do something with the main nav. Do we? Yes, we do. So we don't want this to be displayed here. And we'll comment out this property, display flex. It's already flex, so flex direction. We only want to change the flex direction. So the thing here is, the thing to remember here is that the properties which you have defined outside the media queries, that will still apply here until and unless you change them inside that media query. So for example, I have used display flex for the unordered list in my main navigation menu here. Let's go back. Okay, so it will still obey this. Okay, I only have to change the flex direction here to column to get a vertical menu. Also, now it's vertically aligned, so my main axis will be from top to bottom and my cross axis will be from left to right. So I want this to be aligned to the left. So what I will do, I'll use the cross axis. So I'll use align items and the property is flex start. Okay, perfect. Now if you hover, you'll see that the list items uh, don't take up the entire space. I'll target my list items and give them a width of 100%. So with this you get the same nice effect. Okay, that should be it for the main nav. Now we want the footer to have a smaller font, because right now the footer is pretty large and it's going to 2 rows which I don't want. Font size, let's say 1.4 rem. Okay, 1.4 rem. Refresh. Oh, this should be outside the main nav. My bad. Yep, there we go. Perfect. So I'm gonna collapse this media query and we'll target media screen and minimum width of 576 pixels and maximum width of 990 pixels. So these rules will only apply when my screen size is 576 pixels, which is 576, this one. Okay, alright, let's start with navigation bar here. I'm gonna upgrade template columns to 1 FR and min max of 200 pixels, 1 FR and 1 FR, 3 columns. Well, actually, I think I will be using the same code. So I'm gonna copy everything from the first media query and put it here. Yep, this looks good. That should be it. Footer, 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 footer. Font size 1.6 rem. Okay, 1.6 rem. And the next media query will be for the larger devices. Screen and minimum width of 991 pixels and max width of, let's say, 1300 pixels. So I want this to break at 1300 when the screen is pretty large. Did I use the gallery? I did not, right? With smaller devices they stack good. Oops, sorry. But with larger, I don't want them to be 4 by 4 here. I want them to be 3 columns. Gallery was create template columns, 2 columns of 45 viewport units. Okay, so you notice here I'm not using the exact value like 500 pixels or whatever it is. Also, I'm not consuming the whole of the viewport, like 50 viewport units. If I do that, you'll notice what happens right now. Okay, so I'm getting this side scroller. I don't want that, so I have to choose a nice value, maybe 48. Nope, 46. Yeah, 46 works. Okay, then we will target our hero image. I don't think so. I don't think we need that. Okay, it's looking still pretty good. Okay, expand this to 991, 991, this one, and I'm gonna redefine my gallery here. Create template columns, repeat 3 of 30 viewport width. Okay, you'll see 3. We have 3 by 3. Okay, and main nav display block, because this is where we have sufficient space and we can accommodate our navigation. As soon as we go down, we get to this I think we need a little bit of margin here, the logo, right? Margin bottom. Okay, let's do that. Logo, margin bottom, 1 rem. I'll copy this, put it here as well. So okay, so we are pretty much done with the menu and the site, and you can see it's responsive. Let me minimize this and take the browser here. Okay, so this is a larger screen size that we have, and as we scroll down to 1300, this will switch to a 3-column layout. Okay, but we still have the menu showing here. We further scroll down or decrease the size to 990 or less. Okay, we get this 2-column, and we get our hamburger icon and the menu, although this hamburger button is not doing anything, as if now we have to hook it to monitor or take care of this menu bar here. That will be the next and last thing. And if you decrease the width further to 576 or less, 575 or less, we'll have this nice mobile version here. Okay, so let's work on the JavaScript portion, and I'm gonna expand this HTML file, and just below the jQuery I'm gonna put a script tag, and I'm gonna write some code here. So this is all jQuery code. So if you're not familiar with jQuery, feel free to let me know. I'll create a separate tutorial for jQuery just for the basics. Okay, it has a lot to offer. So what we want, first of all, we want to hide the menu if the width is less than what do you call less than 990. I'll not use 990, I'll use 989 here, and you don't need to use pixels. Okay. So what I want is to target the main nav and hide it. Okay, you see it's hidden now. Also, let's first work on the trigger. So whenever you click the trigger, you want to do something. Okay, and what I want is to again target the main nav and slide toggle with a delay of 600 milliseconds. Now if you click here, you'll see this nice opening and closing menu like what we have in Bootstrap, okay, and other CSS frameworks, of course. And in case if the width size is greater than 991, I want this to be shown. Okay, also, so this will work if you, let's say if you have a bigger screen and refresh this, still does not meet the criteria of 991. Yeah, it does not. So like this, if you refresh, you open your website directly on such a device which is larger than 991, you will have this menu showing to you. But this is not working on resizing here. Okay, so if I slide it up and then I expand my viewport, I don't see the menu back here. So we have to do a little bit more of jQuery. So there is this window object and it has a on resize function. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to do the same thing that we are doing here. Okay, cool. So you see now as you expand and collapse, your menu shows and becomes hidden no matter what device you're using. So this should be the end of this tutorial, and I hope you guys liked it, and I will wait to see the custom layouts that you guys create. Feel free to uh, write back to me in the comment section if you have any queries, or if there is any portion that you did not understand, or if there is something specific on which you want me to create tutorials regarding web development. I would definitely try to cater the requests. So till then, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and see you next time. Bye bye. Thank you.